Well, morning, guys. Yeah, I had a couple hours of sleep and the back still kills me, but got it moving anyway, so I'm alive, barely. It's 8:18 in the morning Pacific Standard Time. It is the 18th of August, 2023. I got a little bit of an issue here. For me being out here in Roseman, California, me being the Weaver John C., I usually don't have issues with other states, and I don't try to bring up their situations here until it's damn too late. So I got a problem here. I got a problem with the state of Hawaii. They have undergone a great deal of stress and problems and everything else going on over there that they're struggling for survival. They're getting a lot of help these days in order to, sorry, uh, they're trying to get their people housed and fed. Excuse me one second. No, I'd rather not do that to you in your ears. Thank you very much. I'm sorry about that. But here's the thing that I got an issue with. Hawaii has alert systems of telling people what kind of disasters are going to be, and you have to listen to the sirens. Of course, you have to react to them as well. And if you've been there long enough, you've been a resident or a native, actually, you'd understand some of the reasons why they would have an emergency alert system. A small island chain, small places, small towns that actually do. Uh, they do listen, and it's I can't say it's part of their culture, but it's part of their alert system at this point over here, where they're trying to keep themselves alert to anything, uh, potential disasters happening, man-made and otherwise. You listen to the sirens. Now, out here in California, we had sirens, but not for fires, not for floods. Sure, it's not any for riots, and not exactly for earthquakes. No, the sirens we had out here was basically for flying missiles with nuclear energy tipped weaponry coming at us. Do I dare say it that we had nukes coming and we had to alert the public just in case that they would have to hide in cans of and be canned spam underneath the ground? Those, excuse me one second here. Damn throat. Milk phlegm is getting to me at this point. There should be an air raid siren for that one. But out here, it was just basically for civil defense. That's all we had them for. And since we've got radar out there and Dopplers and no Dopplers we keep track of, but we've had advancement happening these days that would almost prevent it. It still would have been needed out here just in case we would have an aerial assault happening out here in the Southland. I mean, we've got several targets out here. Pick one. You want to do population damage? Oh, hell, we got population all over the place. Just pick a city and go crazy on it. You want to damage a few airports? Go right ahead. We got damaging airports over here. Keep in mind that one of these airports are housing critical and crucial equipment and radar to keep track of a large swath of area. Only the problem is which area and which hotel, which particular airport would it be? But that's it. We don't have emergency systems for fire, floods, earthquakes, riots, snowstorms, anything except defense, and that's about it. And they're all shut down except maybe there's a few posts out there that are there just for tourists. Hawaii has to depend upon alerting this public quickly enough to react and to be ready for any kind of emergency. They're an island nation. They're going to be isolated like crazy. They have storms coming through the area, and they have to keep on track of that because we don't know whether or not the winds are going to be picking up enough to knock places out of order, and they will. They don't have it here in the mainland. They don't even have it out there in the south, in the southeast. We have hurricanes coming up. There's no warning signs. There's no warning alert. Different areas actually would have warning sirens for tornadoes, as long as the counties and the states get the information fast enough. Hopefully, they can alert the people left and right. For Hawaii, it was the determination of the director of their services, of their testing equipment and stuff, that it wasn't going to be needed. Now, how the hell do you do that? I don't get that one at all. I mean, what is it? You have an emergency alert system. You could have been telling people left and right about these certain conditions happening, not to mention wildfires, but you decide to be quiet about it. And this one guy is getting his ass kicked. And he should. Of course, yeah, there has to be some kind of accountability at this point over here, some kind of warning, some kind of alert. But these people, unfortunately, they didn't. So they have this thing called the Emergency Management Agency going on. The chief administrator they have over there had to make the decision whether or not to turn the damn sirens on or not. He's the one that's supposed to be monitoring and keeping track of any potential threats or hazards, including man-made or natural, such as the storms coming in, blowing with a lot of wind blowing, knocking down power and left and right, or with the potential of it, if they were monitoring it closely enough with the weather services they have over there. The question is, and they're still asking themselves, how come they didn't get the warning? Now, I can understand about the mainland because tornadoes are fast or quick. Sometimes they won't linger as much. They'll hit a neighborhood. They'll jump around, hit another neighborhood, depending on the wind and depending on the weather conditions during that time. We're talking about a hell of a lot of wind from two pressure gradients. A passing hurricane on the bottom, and there was a low pressure on the top. And somehow, through the passages of the island of Oahu, not Oahu, Maui. I gotta get it in the head. We're dealing with Maui, not Oahu. But Maui was getting it, and also the Big Island itself. Maui didn't hear it. Maui didn't have it. Maui wasn't alert to it. Maui got nailed. They had, and they were talking about this in certain news stations. I wanted to read you this from MauiSirens.com. There's actually a thing called MauiSirens.com. Testing, reporting, and information for Maui County sirens. And in this section here, the sirens' quick facts. Number one, Hawaii has the largest single integrated public safety outdoor siren warning system in the world. That's a hell of a boast. Number two, listen. The all-hazard siren system can be used for a variety of both natural and human-caused events, including, one second, I have a feeling that I am going to be a human disaster here. Okay. Getting back to this. Tsunamis, hurricanes, dam breaches, flooding, what? Okay, perk that up. Wildfires. Why couldn't I get that word out? Wildfires. Volcanic eruptions, terrorist threats, hazardous material incidents, and more. Did I mention the word wildfires? Sirens output is 121 decibels and propagate with a manufacturer radius 340,000, well, 3,400 feet. Range may vary due to environmental and surrounding physical conditions. Sirens are battery powered and photoelectric charging system. Did I mention that they were battery powered and use photoelectric? The sirens are one part of the large Hawaiian statewide alert and warning system, which includes FEMA's Integrated Public Alert and Warning System, which uses both the emergency alert system and wireless emergency alerts to alert the public. When a siren tone is heard other than a scheduled test, tune in to local radio, television, cable stations for emergency information and instructions by official authorities. Hey, what'd you say? I didn't hear that. When you hear the siren, turn on the news, you deaf person. If you're in a low-lying area near the coastline, evacuate to higher grounds. Inland or vertically to the fourth floor or higher of a concrete building. Alerts may also come in the form of a wireless emergency alert. Now keep that in mind there. If you're in a low-lying area near the coastline, you're near the coast, go to higher ground. Oh, I'm sorry, the higher ground is being torched by something called wildfire. And people weren't paying attention to any sirens or lack of. So, what the hell are these people supposed to do? Honey was right next to the water. They have harbor. People were running and diving into the damn water. Boats were trying to save people left and right. Some boats actually did get burned all the way down to the keel. But other boats actually made it out of there and tried to act as rescue. The Coast Guard stationed out there didn't have small enough boats, so they had to depend upon civilian to rescue people left and right. But all during that time, where was the emergency sirens? Now, here's the thing concerning about us out here in the mainland here. Excuse me. Damn allergies. We have, as I said before, we have our siren systems. We have power. We have electricity. We have cellular towers all over the damn place. Then they don't have that much on that small island of theirs. And once they're gone, that's it. They lost cellular. They lost wireless. Hell, if they actually had sat phones, maybe they would have had something. Even the radio towers were getting torched because the wildfires were that fast and that furious. Now, I know I'm comparing the mainland to Maui, to the island chain of Hawaii, of what their emergency system is like, and they have to deal with a lot of emergencies. If they suspect there's going to be something of an emergency, they got to alert the entire population of the chain. Out here, we would get it. And the only things I'm afraid of out here is not the wildfires. What they actually do scare the hell out of me because I'm trapped. Flooding, well, not enough high grounds near me for flooding, but it could be. Quakes all the time. Right, it's a different thing altogether. Out here in Roseman, riots would be if, I don't know. This place is not definitely idyllic, that's for sure. One second. My throat is not kind to me this morning. On their siren page, on the MauiSiren.com page, they have something called Report Siren Results. If they actually hear the sirens, it's suggested that they can go to the site and record why the siren went, when, where, all that sort of stuff. So they have siren tests every single month. On the first state workday of each month, they would hear it and be oblivious to it. Because if it wasn't on the first state day of each month, that's when they would have to worry about it. And unfortunately, this happened a couple of weeks, and it wasn't even during the first state day. It was a little afterwards. Because of the wind conditions that kicked up, and the meteorologists, well, I don't know if there was miscommunication between the meteorologists and the state officials at this point over here to see whether or not that was going to be a major crisis point. They knew when they were watching the gradients, the low pressure right above the island chain. But they were also tracking that storm, hurricane, shuffling past them on the southern end. Excuse me. I'm not having a good day. You know, I really got to get back into meteorology. I really do because I have to understand more about the pressure gradients these days. We're lucky enough in the state of California, actually in the Southern California region, that we don't have the hurricane forces. We almost had them in '83 when we had the El Nino going ape crazy during that time. And I remember the high winds that we had and the rain that we had and the flooding in the San Fernando Valley. Different areas were flood zones. Sepulveda Dam area, the basin, the whole entertainment area is a flood zone. And they would have to shut off streets left and right along Victory, Burbank, Oxnard, um, Havenhurst, Balboa, anything relating in that particular area over there. They would have to keep an eye on because of the water level. That's a lower level, elevation wise, and water would accumulate to it, down into it. We have a flood drain. We have a flooding system there. And it would go into the LA River. I remember those days back in the 80s when we actually had high winds, when we actually had heavy duty rains, flooding areas left and right. They had been weather forecast, there had been forecasts on it, but we also would have satellite trucks out there to watch it, to watch all the areas, and I'd be seeing it on the news. And even in the 90s, we were actually having some of that issues as well because certain streets were backing up. When you live in a fishbowl, you take these things seriously. Some people try not to. They think with the low cars they can actually go right through certain streets and found out they got flooded and floated away and had to have fire and rescue get them out of there. There's no warning signs for that except you watch and listen to the news. No warning signs for that. But Hawaii has to have their sirens because they want their people to be safe. In order for them to be safe, their sirens have to go off, especially when there's an emergency happening and it's going to be threatening people's lives. And since the sirens didn't go off, people's lives were already threatened. This guy was making assumptions that if the sirens go off, people would panic. Yeah, they definitely would panic because especially if there's no power and transmission lines are being jammed left and right. Yeah, there is panic on this one. But you keep the sirens off, and then you got real panic. So I suppose this guy's going to be falling on a sword, or he's going to get his ass chewed out on this one. You know, quitting the job or getting fired from the job is not going to exactly help next time. They have to revise their emergency situations all over again. They have to their emergency response. They have to. They may come again. It may come again with another situation may happen to their island chain, and they're not going to be able to help each other out. They're constantly monitoring volcanism. They're constantly monitoring earthquake. They've got USGS out there and a Hawaiian University out there helping monitor all volcanic activity in the island chain. If there is going to be any major earthquake out there, they have to be ready and ready to respond. When Japan has major quakes going on, and they are part of the Pacific Island chain, Ring of Fire actually, Hawaii goes on tsunami alert. The tsunami warning stations out there and the tsunami center in Hawaii would be constantly monitoring through buoys that we have out there. Certain buoys would monitor a lot of conditions in the ocean and tidal forces as well. And with that information, they can broadcast throughout the entire Pacific Rim of any potential tsunamis. If Alaska goes into it, Hawaii still goes crazy. Alaska is also part of the Pacific. I mean, if you had studied a little bit of geology or just go on Google and type out Pacific Rim of Fire, they would give you some geologic terms out there, some scientific terminology. But what would you be looking for is this irregular chain of volcanic activity stretching from Alaska all the way down south and as far as west to the mountain ranges that you're seeing and Hawaiian, the Japanese islands all the way over to the west coast of the United States. In that region, there's a lot of a lot of seismic activity. You just don't see it on an everyday basis, though, but it does happen. And when it does, people have to be ready for it. When there is some kind of shaking or movement happening in the ground, it produces the vibrations in the ocean currents where they're pushing water. You won't see it on the top as much, but in the bottom, the currents are strong, and they'll spread. And the spreading is what triggers the tsunami alarms. Because once they get that detection going, they have to have enough time it may take minutes or take hours depending on where the location is, of people to evacuate to higher ground for the tsunami or get the hell out of the area if you're in a ship. But it's always higher ground because water comes up, and if you're down below, well, glub, glub, glub. I hope you got your swim fins on. But even in that kind of a situation, Hawaii would be putting it out, their alerts during that time. Everybody would be getting a text because everybody's got a cell phone. Or they put it on the news, on the radio and on video, to let people know what the hell's going on. You would hear the sirens going off. So in a situation regarding a wildfire happening on our islands, they're still asking the question, why did this guy choose not to do this shit? Turn on the damn sirens, tell people what the hell is going on, tell them to evacuate. Run! There may not be enough fire department out there to save your ass, so go, save, go, run. They didn't want mass panic. Yeah, I'm having a beef on this one. Because it would have been avoiding over 100 people dead. And maybe more that they still haven't discovered yet. And they're still climbing. It's been about a week, just about. And you've got freezer trucks holding in these people's loved ones. You know, it's besides the human toll. What about the animal toll on the island? Not just pets, but the wildlife. The ecosystem of Maui has been disrupted a great deal. It'll take it decades to maybe get back to a point. Takes that way regarding volcanism happening too, especially when you have a volcano erupting and lava goes into an area, wipes it all out until lava dumps into the ocean, becoming more and more of a extension of the island. But in the aftermath, you've got seeds popping up all over the place and they're sprouting life. Nutrients are helping the soil to grow. Wildfire doesn't do that. Wildfire just burns everything else up to a crisp. And if there's any seeds left, then that's going to be about 10 to 20 years of growth right there for the island to maybe look like it used to be. You know, at one time I wanted to see Hawaii just for myself. I wanted to see the state of Hawaii, the big island, to see the volcanism at work, hot rocks. But besides that, the usual tourist trap of Oahu. Pay my respects. I don't have any friends or family there. But there's a museum out there. My brother, when he was in the Navy, he served the shift. I don't know what he felt. I don't know what he experienced out there. But there had been rumors that I heard that sometimes the fallen would mingle with the living during the daytime. Maybe you get this cold tap on the shoulder from a former sailor or marine. For a quick second, you see the face, and then they're not there anymore. They just wanted to be remembered. And they're thanking you for being there because they wanted to be remembered that their sacrifices weren't made in vain. Despite the fact it's made into a major tourist trap. But it's still something that you just cannot, you can't take it with a grain of salt. You come into it with reverence. You may feel the cold chills on some occasions. Maybe a hot day and you'll feel a cold chill. Maybe it's a wind. Or maybe not. And then, maybe there's a bit of a whisper. Probably saying the name or remember me. My brother was telling me stories about this one. He saw one particular sailor just for a brief half second. It was during daytime, too. He looked like he was from the ship. He looked at my brother, I think. Gave a nod. My brother didn't tell the story after that. I think he only told it once. But he had a hell of a lot of relevance over there. I mean, he talked with some of the survivors that were over there and made the dozens over there. And they would tell stories about it too. As long as the sailors are remembered, the ghosts will be walking. They also said that the ship bleeds oil. And when the last drop finally plops to the surface, that means the last survivor is gone. So yeah, I'd like to take a trip over to Hawaii just to pay my respects. And if I happen to sit down next to a ghost, I'll cry. Not the waste of his death, but to memorialize him. There are people who will remember, and there are people who will cry and feel. I'll feel love. Maybe a total stranger, but not really. Some people may like the beach. I'll go to the harbor. Stay there for a time if I had to. Hell, if I could have a tour around the island chain on a cruise ship, I'd do that if I could. But at the memorial, I would. I believe they also got a memorial for the silent service as well, for the submariners as well. My brother was Navy. My brother was also Texan. Doesn't mean I'm going over to Texas just yet. I'd go over to Hawaii first because I want to pay my respects. Anyway.